Alright, y'all, today we're gonna be reacting to a death battle, which came out 12 days ago. And I didn't know about it until yesterday, which is actually crazy. Uh I've been lacking, to be honest with you. But let's put that aside. We're here now, we're gonna watch it. Bakugo versus Reze. Tough. Go ahead and get into it. The sound is muted.
Look who. Look who's here. Bakugo versus Reze, the god of explosions versus the bomb devil. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick, and it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who.
Before we get into this, I never saw the Chainsaw Man movie, so I don't know too much about old girl besides the freaking memes they be making of her. But Bakugo's pretty cool. The last episode I watched on My Hero Academia was when they were fighting All for One. That probably doesn't sum it up, but it's been a minute since I watched them. Ooh, I think actually it was it before? I think, dang, my brain. I think it was after actually it wasn't. The last episode I saw was when All Might had put on the suit to try to buy some time before All for One gets to him. Or gets to whoever he was trying to get to. I forgot. It's been a minute. I need to catch up. But let's go ahead and get to it.
Win a death battle. Wiz, there's nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning, the rush of the shockwave, the flash of combustion. I love it when stuff goes boom. And no one knows that feeling better than Katsuki Bakugo. When your name literally means powerful bomb, it's no wonder he was born with the quirk explosion.
25?
It lets
When? 25? What time is this? This ain't no 25-year. I don't know where they got that
Bakugo
from.
create humongous kabooms from his palms. I can only dream of having hands that rad. Quirks are genetic superpowers that most humans are born with. Bakugo inherited his quirk from his parents. Specifically, it was a combination of his father's combustible acid sweat and his mother's glycerin skin secretions, making Bakugo's sweat basically like nitroglycerin. And the more he sweats, the bigger the booms. His parents basically made the perfect kid, absolutely oozing with shonen main character energy. Bakugo felt similarly, so much so that he started bullying his childhood friend who happened to be born without a quirk. Yeah, okay, he's kind of a snot-nosed turd sometimes, but come on, Wiz, the kabooms! They're so cool. Quirks are a natural biological feature of a person's body. In the same way that we don't really think about walking or breathing, Bakugo's explosions became like any other limb, especially with his rigorous training. Bakugo quickly picked up on how to use his explosions to obliterate anything in sight, block attacks, launch himself around, and quickly maneuver in midair at hypersonic speeds, which requires a ton of focus and on-the-fly calculations. And despite getting this incredibly dangerous quirk when he was 4, he somehow never killed himself or anyone else that we know of. Bakugo was truly a prodigy, destined for...
Yo, real talk. If y'all could choose to be born with any quirk, what would y'all choose? I ain't gonna lie, I choose the shadow quirk that old dude got. Well, mine wouldn't work exactly like him, the crow dude. But mine, I want like some shadow powers. I think that would be hard.
Greatness. And his only goal was to surpass Japan's numero uno superhero and his personal idol, All Might. In Bakugo's mind, the only person who wins no matter what. Absolute victory. No problem for the main character. Except Katsuki wasn't the protagonist that he thought he was. That would be Izuku Midoriya, the quirkless child Bakugo bullied. In truth, he was threatened by Izuku's tenacity despite being quirkless.
Really? That crybaby's the main character? Well, Bakugo's inferiority complex would only get worse when Deku somehow landed a quirk that was just as cool, and both were accepted to the same superhero high school, UA High.
There, he would learn to be a superhero and fully develop his ultimate moves.
Like flying through the sky faster than sound with turbo speed, blinding people with stun grenade, focusing his blasts into armor-piercing shots, or making a big-ass tornado of death.
The howitzer impact involves Bakugo spinning himself in midair with his explosions, building up a tremendous amount of swirling oxygen, and then igniting it all for one hell of a boom.
He's pretty smart when it comes to strategizing mid-fight.
insane.
He even
It's
developed
tough.
new techniques for his quirk faster than Deku did.
UA High also aided Bakugo's development by preparing him with his iconic Grenadier bracers, gauntlets that allow him to store up his sweat, gross, for prolonged bouts, or to release all of it at once in a single massive blast.
He's also got his hero suit, which helps him sweat faster in order to build up stronger attacks. Or the Strafe Panzer, these badass turrets mounted to his back that store his sweat as ammo. With all of that, it wasn't long before Bakugo made his hero debut, called the Bombshell Hero, Great Explosion Murder God,
There it is.
Dynamite. Hey, I dig it.
Dynamite
The more
is tough.
colons, the merrier.
But despite some early wins, Bakugo failed to live up to his own sky-high expectations. He had the makings of a great hero, if only he could get out of his own way and put the team before his ego.
Especially when he was kidnapped by the League of Villains, ultimately leading Bakugo to blame himself for All Might's retirement. Something needed to change.
So he vented his frustrations in a slugfest with Deku and realized something crucial. That the kind of absolute victory that defined All Might wasn't victory for himself, but victory for everyone.
He was starting to become the prodigy everyone knew he could be. I mean, hell, even while he was unconscious, he kept analyzing the fight he was in and coming up with counters. Somehow,
Bakugo's powerful enough to shatter Todoroki's heaven-piercing ice wall, fast enough to keep up with villains like Shigaraki, who can catch light beams, and tough enough to survive, well,
being dead? Yep, you heard us. Bakugo was
Came back to
killed,
life.
dead as a doornail. And then a single bead of sweat floating through his bloodstream detonated and restarted his heart. If that isn't main character plot armor, I don't know what is.
his stamina is perhaps the craziest thing about him. After all, he is tanking the recoil of all of his explosions.
Even with the overuse of his blasts literally tearing his body apart, he kept trying to make him stronger, and eventually his quirk awakened.
Essentially, when a quirk evolves to become stronger. Now, by condensing his explosions into smaller and more powerful clusters, Bakugo could enhance all of his techniques.
Like the Howitzer Impact Cluster, a stunning achievement in the field of explosionology, or kaboom theory for the layman.
Powerful enough to shatter the side of a mountain, or blow apart UA High itself. Judging by the school's size, we can estimate Bakugo's Howitzer Impact Cluster yielded over 300 kilotons of TNT.
Given Bakugo's whole deal is explosions, it makes sense to science out what a ton of TNT actually is. It's literally the energy contained in 1,000 kilograms of trinitrotoluene.
A chemical compound composed of hydrogen, nitrogen,
word?
oxygen, and carbon.
That's the recipe for kabooms. Now, imagine a pile of TNT as big as the Empire State Building blowing up all at once. That's Bakugo's Howitzer Impact Cluster.
And these explosions can launch him so fast, it's like time stands still around him.
Like when he covered a huge part of this city in a fraction of a second. Almost
that's
400 times the speed of sound.
I need to catch
That's
up.
not all.
I need to catch
now
up. I
he
need to
can
catch up.
detonate his sweat remotely and
Yeah, I
from
gotta
all
watch-
over his
I gotta
body,
watch
not
the
just
rest.
his palms.
With all of this crazy bullshit, Bakugo became one of the strongest heroes on Earth, enough to battle and defeat All Might's lifelong arch nemesis, All for One. Yeah, that's right, the main villain, who's the protagonist now, Deku.
Bakugo literally
That actually, dang, I didn't know that. Low key spoiled, but it's fine. I'll still watch it anyway. So why didn't they just have? I guess they wanted to have a struggle character in My Hero, honestly, because this looked like it should have just straight up been Bakugo's show instead of Deku. I'm not gonna lie. Like Bakugo looked like he should have been the main star instead of like the kind of like partly main but kind of side character.
and figuratively surpassed his childhood idol and proved his mettle as a hero.
Number 5 on the rankings and rising. Not bad, Kachan.
But more important than proving it to his friends, to All Might, or even to Deku, he proved it to himself.
Yeah, whatever. Take that, losers! Sickest quirk in the world over here! Dynamite! Dynamite! Dynamite!
Oh,
Wiz, what happened to you? You look funny and
W
squishy.
plushies.
I'm over here, Boomstick. That's the new Death Battle plushie from
Sick
YouTube.
plushies, sick ads.
So don't
sick,
miss out.
You know what I'm saying? W.
Death, war, famine, conquest. Humanity has been plagued by all
Invincible.
manner of ills since they first crawled out of the primordial ooze. In the world of Chainsaw Man, there is nothing to fear but fear itself.
Because fear itself is real, and they're called devils.
Literally devils from hell. These monstrous beings are the living embodiments of humanity's worst nightmares, and their power is directly proportional to that fear.
So the chicken devil might be so weak you could keep him as a class pet, like, you know, a chicken. But what about the bat devil, or the ghost devil, or the devil embodying man's fears of one of the greatest weapons it's ever created, the bomb devil?
Little is known about the origins of the Bomb Devil's current host, Reze, if that even is her real name.
She might look cute and kawaii, but she's actually a Soviet assassin trained from
assassin,
birth to be
yeah.
one of the deadliest killers on the planet. Basically a Black Widow. A cold and lonely existence for anyone, but quadruply so in a world as effed up as this.
But all Reze wanted was a safe, normal, quiet life. As much a fable to her as Aesop's Country Mouse.
Too bad! You are now a walking, talking explosive. Have fun.
Boom.
At some point, the girl known as Reze was implanted with a fragment of the Bomb Devil and became a hybrid, a human possessing a devil's powers without sacrificing their humanity, transforming their body into a living weapon.
As a hybrid, Reze's strength and speed are way crazier than a normal human's, and with her martial arts training, she's a force to be reckoned with up close. Also, Wiz, check out the bomb for a head.
Someone like Reze would eat you alive, literally. Should devils like Reze take any damage whatsoever, they can heal by consuming blood.
And that lets hybrids survive some pretty insane stuff, like having their limbs torn off, getting bisected clean in half, or being roasted alive. Just slurp some blood and they're good as new.
Especially useful considering the Bomb Devil's primary ability is literally blowing herself up. Reze can emit explosions from any surface of her body, even tearing off limbs and turning them into bombs that she can detonate at will.
That's crazy.
Of her
That's
body.
actually fire.
Even tearing off limbs and turning them into
Through her
bombs
head
that she
and
can
turn it into a
detonate at
grenade.
will.
That's tough.
Damn, that's hardcore. She can use these blasts to jet
I
through
gotta
the
watch
sky
this
at
movie.
hypersonic speeds, maneuver and redirect herself in midair, and enhance the strength and speed of her blows.
Or Reze can send sparks that can ignite the atmosphere in explosions that tear apart entire
Ooh. So that's low key Bakugo right there.
cities.
I feel like she'll have him beat in training. Definitely, like straight hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, she's got it.
Making herself stronger the more fear her wanton destruction creates.
As long as the area around her is dry enough to maintain ignition, Reze can create as many explosions.
Ooh, you hear that? See, the way Death Battle works, they be trying to mess you up sometimes. He just said as long as the area is dry enough, she can create explosions. What does Bakugo need to create his explosions? A bunch of sweat and water. I think water can count too. I think it don't just have to be his sweat, but water also. Maybe. I could be tripping.
As she wants, non-stop.
She can even turn her own body into different types of real-world bombs to massively enhance their power.
Like transforming her leg into a torpedo or her apron into dynamite. Every single inch of Reze is a living weapon.
This made her feared across the devil world as one of their mightiest warriors, and the perfect choice to assassinate Japan's newly acquired devil hybrid, Chainsaw Man.
You see, you might not think chainsaws are all that scary, at least not compared to bombs, but the Chainsaw Devil is special.
Any devil the
Really?
Chainsaw Devil consumes becomes deleted from reality,
Huh?
retroactively erased
Whoa, I didn't know any of this. This is probably major spoilers. It'll be alright.
from humanity's collective consciousness.
And here I thought chainsaws were for boring stuff like
What kind of-
trees or tech.
How is the chainsaw so OP? erased from existence?
His
How?
massacres. Silly me.
This ability makes the Chainsaw Devil the most important being alive and invaluable for any global power to control.
Except instead of meeting the fearsome chainsaw of legend, Reze met Denji, a dumb, horny teenage boy just looking for anyone, to love.
And for once, Reze actually hesitated. Rather than immediately kill her target, she got to know him and found they weren't so different. Both were used as tools of the state, as weapons of war rather than people. A kindred spirit in a hostile world, Denji wanted to drink up as much of the excitement of life as he could. The town mouse to her country mouse.
And thankfully, he was super easy for a pretty face to manipulate.
It wouldn't be the only time.
Reze's nothing if not professional, and she gave Denji one parting gift. To teach him the way devils did battle before he died.
As the embodiment of one of the deadliest weapons known to man, Reze's power is off the charts, capable of creating an explosion more than 400 meters in diameter. That's over 4 football fields long.
To have a blast that size, you'd need to be exploding with over 2 kilotons of TNT.
More than comparable to nuclear weapons, which is really impressive considering Reze is not the devil of nuclear bombs. That's apparently an entirely separate thing.
Are you serious? Wait. So she's just a regular bomb devil? There's actually a devil out there that does nukes? The Chainsaw Man universe is so crazy, bro.
Technically conventional, they're just that strong.
Likely comparable to other powerful devils like the Gun Devil, who could travel across the world and kill millions of people in 5 minutes.
That'd be over 500 times the speed of sound.
She's even stronger than the Typhoon Devil, a sentient city-spanning storm.
The literal coughing baby to her hydrogen bomb.
Unfortunately for Reze, Denji took her lessons to heart and proved he was more than a fitting host for the Chainsaw Devil.
He whooped her ass, but spared her life, just in case her seduction wasn't a total act after all.
But it wasn't meant to be. Whether Reze chose the safe life of the country mouse or the exciting life of the town mouse, there are hungry cats everywhere.
Oh, Makima, what I would give to find someone to kill you.
Reze's dreams of freedom were never realized. She simply changed hands from one cold, unfeeling entity to another. And this time, there was no escape. She was a weapon, a symbol of man's bottomless capacity for malice and self-destruction.
A living bomb.
Well, that actually sucks. That's unfortunate. So, here's the thing. With the way Death Battle works with their mysterious ways and their conclusions, it looks like Bakugo is going to take the win. Simply because he beat his villain and she didn't. I ain't gonna lie. That could very well be
the battle's about to start, and I hope you've got something good to hear these kabooms with, like our sponsor, Raycon.
That's right, Boomstick. I've been using Raycon for many years now,
earbuds, you know what I'm saying?
Essential open
I might
earbuds.
pick me up a pair.
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
Oh, it just starts off like that.
I've been sent to collect your head, Dynamite.
Better villains than you have tried, lady. You tell your bosses that after I send you back in a coffin!
How would I tell them that if I was already dead? Wow, you're quick.
Shut up and die!
Whoa. The animation keeps switching. I was about to say it started off like kind of like 16-bit-ish, and then the quality increased.
Oh, damn!
Water.
Oh, damn! Oh, damn!
Oh, nah. That'd be so scary, just a headless body just runs at you. Boy, if you don't, I'm about to say. Yep, I thought that would come into play, but it came into play way too early, so she's not out yet.
Move it or lose it, people!
Save me, Dynamite!
Let go of me!
Oh, she took a bite.
Boom.
Leave them out of this!
Oh, got battle damage armor. It's time to lock in. Whoa.
For what it's worth, Dynamite, your blood was delicious.
You bit off a bit more than you could chew! My blood isn't the only thing you drank! It's my sweat you should worry about, dumbass!
Whoa.
I'm aiming for absolute
You having
victory.
too much fun, bro.
Howitzer! Impact! Cluster!
Bro, the animations. Sick.
Scratch that. Not enough for a coffin.
That was fire.
KO!
That was sick.
Oh, Denji, we're so sorry to hear about your girlfriend that passed away. She gets 5 big booms. Boom! Boom!
Please just
It's
shut up.
crazy.
On the surface, these two seemed evenly matched. So let's break this fight down into 3 categories: their speed, their stamina, and their firepower.
First up, let's talk speed.
Both Bakugo and Reze could rocket through the sky at hypersonic speeds and maneuver and redirect themselves on a dime in the middle of fights. To the casual observer, at least, they'd seem to be on par with each other.
So we have to look at the people they've fought to compare.
Reze has battled Chainsaw Man, who could match and defeat someone using the Gun Devil's power.
The same gun devil that could literally fly around the
Okay, alright. Here's the thing with that. Did the Gun Devil happen before or after Reze? Because I feel like, you know, I feel like that shouldn't be taken into account if this happened after Reze.
world, killing millions of people at over 500 times the speed of sound.
Impressive, but
And I don't recall the Denji find the Gun Devil from what I watched. Unless I like straight up missed something.
compare that to Bakugo fighting Shigaraki, who could react fast enough to catch light beams with his bare hands.
That's over 1,000 times faster. And that was before Bakugo's quirk awakening that made him even faster than that.
With reaction speed of that caliber, there's little chance Reze could ever get the drop on Bakugo, and would likely be forced to play catch-up in a duel. Speed goes to Bakugo.
However, speed doesn't matter if one couldn't truly hurt the other. A big part of this fight is their stamina.
Bakugo's durability is mind-boggling. He's survived being impaled through the torso and has even brought himself
true.
back to life.
But, unlike Reze, his stamina does eventually hit a limit. Every explosion he makes whittles him down just a little bit more and uses up more and more of his sweat. Without a break, he can eventually run out.
Whereas Reze can effectively create bombs without respite and from a distance.
Unlike Bakugo, who usually likes to get up close and personal.
Furthermore,
Yeah.
her devil
She
hybrid
should've stayed,
physiology
like,
gives her an actual
ranged, to be
regenerative
honest.
healing factor, allowing her to shrug off the same kind of mortal blows that would eventually kill Bakugo, main character plot armor or not.
If this ever became a war of attrition, Reze had it in the bag. Stamina goes to Reze.
However, it's unlikely it would ever get to that point. The biggest factor in this fight was always going to be their raw firepower.
Explosions! First, we gotta compare their 2 biggest blasts. Reze's nuclear light bomb against Denji versus Bakugo's howitzer impact cluster.
And the difference is obvious. Based on calculating their sizes, Bakugo's 300 kiloton explosion was over 100 times more powerful than Reze's 2 kiloton blast.
But that's not all. Remember the Typhoon Devil.
Coughing baby or not, to create a storm big enough to cover Tokyo's over 2,000 square kilometers, he'd have to be generating more than 400 kilotons of TNT.
Greater than Bakugo, right? But that's not all. Again, Bakugo's howitzer impact once shattered the size of this big-ass mountain. And despite being earlier on in the series, it was ginormous. Almost 3 kilometers in radius.
Or just over 2 megatons of TNT. 5 times more powerful than the Typhoon Devil, and way beyond anything we've seen Reze do.
And this was Bakugo before reaching his full power in his fight against All for One. Bakugo takes the final edge in explosions.
And remember, Bakugo withstands the recoil of all his blasts. So even though Reze had greater stamina, Vegeta, Bakugo was more than tough enough to hang on and get his kill shot, especially with his superior speed.
And Devil healing factors can be overtaxed with enough damage. Hell, she needed to drink blood a couple times against Denji just to keep fighting.
Against someone as fast and powerful as Bakugo, she would not get the chance to heal consistently, or perhaps at all.
And what happens when devils die? They Bakugo to hell.
The winner is Katsuki Bakugo.
Bombshell, hero, great explosion, murder, god, dynamite. Next time on Death Battle.
All right, they cook with this one. They cook with this one. What the? Gru versus Mega Mind? Okay.
Subscribe and join as a member to see more Death Battle. And don't
That
forget
might
to order
actually
your
be
very
crazy.
own Whiz Plush from YouTube's. Click that link below the like button.
Oh shoot. Gru versus Mega Mind, huh? Okay. Alright, y'all. That'll do it for this reaction. This Death Battle was pretty solid. I like this one. I still think Metal Sonic and Cell is definitely one of my favorites. I ain't gonna lie. But this one was pretty good. I got no complaints. I know the next one's gonna be kind of insane. Mega Mind versus Gru, huh? That'll be tough. But alright, I'll catch y'all in the next one. See y'all later, y'all.